Joining me now is Senator Barbara Boxer, Democrat from California. She was a co-sponsor of Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's bill. And Senator, my first question to you is, what is your reaction to the fact that essentially this was killed today in committee?
It was a bad day for the opportunity that we have to finally get things right here. You know, for 20 long years, various secretaries of defense have said these words: we have zero tolerance for this kind of activity in the military, and we're not going to allow it. And every single Secretary of Defense never made the changes. We have to make the changes, just like Australia did, Great Britain did, Canada did, Israel did. And what did they do? They took these vicious crimes outside of the chain of command. They have an independent prosecutor. You know what Carl Levin and his friends did? It's very disappointing. He's my friend. But I have to tell you, what they did today is embrace the status quo instead of embracing the victims and using this as an opportunity to bring needed change. They kept the commanders in charge. The commander not only decides whether there will be a prosecution, the commander also decides when and where the court-martial will be if it goes forward, and they even pick the jury. Chris, this is a nightmare. And it has to change, and I predict we're going to have a real Donnybrook on the Senate floor, because we're not going to let this go by easily, gently into the night.
What do you mean by that? This means
what
you're going to...
What I mean is, we're going to offer the Gillibrand, Boxer, Collins language again, and we're going to fight to get it done. And we are going to get our day on the full Senate floor. It was interesting. We did get Republicans and Democrats for our proposal, but just not enough. But I believe the time has come for change. I am extremely disappointed in what happened. I have to say I'm not shocked, because change is hard. We know it is difficult. We saw how gays were treated in the military for decades and decades. We saw how women have been treated in terms of their equality. We saw how there was no integration in the military until finally President Truman made it happen. So all these are civil rights battles. These are human rights and civil rights. And, you know, people forget that half of the victims are men. Yeah. So it's not a women's issue. It is a violence issue.
Senator,
it is a criminal issue.
Senator, yes. I want to play a little bit of sound from one of your colleagues who voted against your amendment today in committee, Tim Kaine, basically making the argument, look, if you're going to take this out of the chain of command, why not take all these other horrible crimes that happen outside the chain of command? The chain of command is how crimes are processed inside the military. Take a listen.
Murder, larceny, robbery, forgery, bad checks, arson, extortion, burglary, housebreaking, perjury, fraud against the United States.
That seems like, at least at face value, a somewhat persuasive argument that there's a lot of crimes and all those crimes are serious. Why make a special exception to the way the system works for this specific crime?
Well, we don't, if you read our bill. And he obviously didn't read our bill. What we said is crimes that are unique to the military will stay within the chain of command, but serious felonies will come outside, just like they do in Great Britain, just as they do in Israel, just as they do in Canada and Australia. So it sounds great, but we took care of it in our bill.
Senator Barbara Boxer, who is pledging to continue the battle of this on the floor as this goes to the floor and offer amendments and expressing her disappointment tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Sure.